wasn't until skateboarding that I found something that I was like really attracted to. There was a purpose all of a sudden. There was something that drove me to better myself.
Rune Glifberg, he's on fire at the moment. This guy doesn't want to go easy in the final. He wants to risk it.
19 X Games appearances and still ripping it out there.
All of a sudden, a lot of time has gone by. It's just like, oh, wait a minute. One day you wake up and you're 43. 2015, I broke my wrist, and then 2016, I broke it in almost like the exact same spot. A lot of wear and tear, torn calf muscles, broken ankles. My lower back is probably like the weakest point in my body right now. All these super hard slams for years and years is definitely gonna like move stuff around. I started skateboarding when I was 11 years old. It was a friend of mine. He went to Texas and came home and he had a skateboard. And it had like vibrant graphics. I was like, whoa, that's a skateboard. Got my own little banana board from like a toy store, and we were just like riding down hills, ripping off all our hands and skin off our knees. It's not really about the tricks that you do. It's more about like how you do them and how they make you feel when you do them. You always want to make whatever you're doing the ultimate, where you're always striving to make the tricks that you do better. You're sort of competing against yourself. I think that drive, that self-competitiveness have always been in me. It didn't stem from nothing. There's got to be something inside you that says, I want to do this, I want to win. I was a pretty average kid, but maybe a little bit just on the hyper side, maybe. A lot of climbing trees and getting dirty and build little like tree houses, whacking weeds, just do anything crazy for fun, you know. My parents, they didn't have a certain direction that they wanted to push me in. I was kind of free to do what I wanted to do, in a sense. There was a skate park like right around the corner from my house, and I started going there. And then I saw Nicky Guerrero. He was doing like hand plants and like doing big airs and all these tricks. That really grabbed my attention, where I was like, whoa, what he's doing, I want to do that. That's amazing. The European Championships in 1991. I was like the first person in Denmark to ever do a 540 on a vert ramp. Even Nicky hadn't done them at that time. I turned pro in '92. Skateboarding was pretty much dead. You know, nobody was like really going big. All the big vert ramps were pretty much getting torn down. As soon as we came to America, everything changed, you know what I mean? All of a sudden we were getting paid by companies. A new world opening up for me within skateboarding, you know, like all the magazines and all the videos that I'd always like looked up to, and all of a sudden we were going to the spots that were in these videos and like in these magazines and stuff like that. We quickly came to realize that skateboarding in America was a lot different than how it was in Europe. There was a lot more opportunity. Slam City Jam up in Vancouver, Canada, at the time, like the biggest competition of the year. This was before X Game. I ended up winning the contest up there against like all the best vert skateboarders. All of a sudden, like beating these guys in a major competition, it was like, all right. Still at that time, didn't really have a vision of longevity and like being professional skateboarder for 20 years or whatever. I was just kind of like, yeah, if I can stay here in America for like 2 to 3 years, maybe 5 years, I'll be happy and I'll go home. I've won the X Games a couple of times, but I don't see them as like that moment that's like a certain point in my career where it's like, that's the wow moment. I feel like I have a line or a string of achievements.
Du kan tænde for ovnen nu, da. Det kan alle vel gøre.
I was pretty confident in having a kid at that time. Well, I actually thought it was kind of late because my parents are only like 20 years older than I am. So they had me young, so I always like had in my head that I was going to have a kid really young. I remember going down to New Zealand one time and winning a contest down there, and Alpha and Tallulah being there, and I remember Tallulah was like sleeping underneath like sort of like the vert ramp decks while the contest was going on, but Alpha was watching. She was probably 5 at the time.
Ja, det må jeg nok sige.
I won the contest down there, and like everyone was really excited about it. Fun memory, you know, like for them like sort of getting out on the road. The traveling and skateboarding have always been one of the driving forces. As soon as you get on the road, that's when you get inspired. No two places are the same in skateboarding, you know. It's really rewarding for me and really inspiring, and that's kind of more like the fun stuff, and also like the cultural aspect. Seeing different architecture, different cultures.
This is one of the biggest Scandinavian banks, pretty to look at, but it's also like a live space. The architect had skateboarding in mind. Creating something like this is really inspiring to me, and it's cool to see that you got tons of kids coming here, skateboarding every day and bringing this place to life.
I first got involved with designing Fella Parking. It was a big refurbish of the park that we'd had since '88, so the park means a lot to me, so in that sense it was important that we had a good park.
Er det lidt sjovt, vi ikke får det?
Ja, men det var godt, de fik de sidste tegninger.
Ja. Altså, we know each other from like way back. We started skating together here in Copenhagen. There was this huge skate park up in Elsinore that was supposed to be built, and I got together with Rune and said, hey man, let's do this job, you know?
Our philosophy here in terms of skate parks is a little bit of a different approach to regular skate park companies. When you look at our parks, it has a very distinct design language. A regular architect might think he has got an understanding for what the shape is and what it does. He doesn't see it into the right context of where it needs to be. It's like he's got all these words, but he doesn't know how to put them together on the page.
The understanding of the movement through the park, the music and the poetry.
That's why it's so important that we have actual skateboarders design these parks. Skateboarding is so much like an art that people still appreciate the stuff that I do, even though I'm maybe not #1 ranking guy or whatever. I've always looked at the guys that were older than me and thought, wow, they're great. It took me a little while to realize that a lot of the younger guys that look at me sort of think the same way. The low part for any skateboarder, I think, is always going to be when you're injured or when you don't feel that your body is performing like how it should. And that's kind of how I feel now. I want to skate as much as I can, but I'm not physically able to skate as much as the younger guys. And I think that's probably because I'm not physically able to stay on my board for 5 to 6 hours a day, like how I did when I was a young kid. I see myself generally as kind of a little bit stubborn. There's like a never surrender fire always burning in me, I think. I never really had that, nah, it's over, I'm gonna stop skateboarding. How my skateboarding is now and how it was when I was younger or a kid, it's just more fluid. I try to think more selectively about the stuff that I do and try to make it look really nice and feel really nice, like eternally, like when I do the tricks. There's a certain flow to skateboarding and how you do it. It gives you a feeling, what you're doing, and it can be either a very forced feeling or a very naturally flowing feeling, and I like the latter. Building and designing skate parks where kids can learn all the different aspects of skateboarding is really important. When I see kids skating the balls and stuff that we didn't have 7, 8 years ago, It makes me happy. It makes me think, yeah, that was the right choice. That was good that I, 10 years ago, was pushing the designers of this park. That was good, not just here in Copenhagen, but all over the world. Well, if I had one wish for the future, it'd probably be just to be happy in skateboarding, and finding the fountain of youth would be nice. I think maybe skateboarding is the fountain of youth in a way, you know?